of AAPI Mississippi and advisor for National AAPI Women's Forum. Wish to welcome everyone and thank you all for joining us today. Today being March 8th, it's very appropriate to say a few words about how International Women's Day all got started. The International Women's Day emerged from the activities of labor movements at the turn of the 20th century in North America, 1909. Much later, in 1975, the UN officially recognized March 8th to be celebrated across the world as International Women's Day. Since 1996, each year the theme was adopted to reflect the society and the challenges of the time. The first theme was celebrating the past, planning for future. Today marks the 121st year since the first group of 15,000 women marched on the street for equal pay and right to vote. Due to efforts and actions of women in the past, the scenery has changed for all of us today. It is our responsibility to be the torchbearers for a better tomorrow. The theme for this year is Choose to Challenge, where we consciously choose to challenge gender bias and seek out and celebrate women achievements. I want to congratulate our president, Dr. Sudhakar Jonnalagada, for selecting his team of standing committee chairs, or over 50% led by women physicians. I want to give a huge round of applause, request everyone to give a huge round of applause to our president, Dr. Jonnalagada, and I would request him to say a few words now.
Good evening and greetings to all. As I mentioned, International Women's Day celebrated each year March 8th, focusing on women and their rights and their achievements. International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, and cultural and political accomplishments of the woman. Beginning in the early 19th century, the day also marks a call to action for accelerating women's equality. Today, we honor them and appreciate their contribution to the world, and particularly in our own lives, as their touch make our days brighter and sweeter, while we are particularly recognize them. Let us all make an effort to convey and share our thoughts and feelings towards them in a way that are seen, understood, and experienced by the women in our lives. Women are a very important and vital part of our society. We meet them and interact with them daily in the form of mother, sister, daughter, and friend and colleague. They continue to shape us, inspire us, lead us in so many ways from birth to death. As Uday mentioned, the theme of the International Women's Day 2021 is Choose to Challenge. On this day of International Women's Day, and every day in our life, let us choose to seek out and celebrate women's achievement. Together, we can help in creating an inclusive world. Let us choose to challenge everyone around you to take an action for gender imparity. I want to thank you, the Women Physician section this year did an outstanding job. Dr. Anjana Samadhar, Dr. Udaya Shivangi, and First Lady Uma Maheshwari, and Dr. Kushum Punjabi, and Bhavani Srinivasan, and Shyamala Aramalli. My sincere thanks to my officers, the BOD Chair, Dr. Sheila Shah, President-elect, Dr. Anupama Gautamukula, and Young Physician Section President, Dr. Amy Bakshi, and MRSOF President, Dr. Kinjal Solanki. Thank you very much. You all have a good evening. Enjoy.
Need to unmute. Unmute you there.
Why I cannot?
Can hear you.
Yeah, you can? Okay. Hello. Okay, thank you, Dr. Sudhakar Janalagada, for such a lovely words. And now I would call upon Dr. Sajini Shah, Chair, Board of Trustee, a strong, young, beautiful woman who has helped empower the women in her field. I would like her to come upon and say a few words on this day.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to say congratulations to all the women that are on this call and those that have not been able to make it. Because we're all doing such great things, right? We're having jobs as physicians, and even if you're not a physician, mothers, being sisters, daughters, we wear so many hats, and yet we still come, at the end of the day, strong and sort of fearless to move on. I truly believe in the power and the magic of women to support each other, to pave the way for each other, because the only way this world is going to get to a better place for our children is if we stick together and continue all the hard work that we've been doing and show our daughters the importance of hard work, resilience, and really the power of women. I really believe in it. And so I just wanted to congratulate all the women on this call. I look forward to seeing all of you in a couple of weeks, where we can all get together and enjoy and perhaps have a drink. So thank you so much for putting this together, and looking forward to this evening's events. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sajini Shah. That was very nice remarks. Thank you for joining. And now I would call upon our next President-elect, Dr. Anupama Gotimukula, for paving the way and breaking barriers, to come forward and say a few words. And first of all, I wanted to request Ms. Vijaya Kodali to play the tape, and then she would say a few words.
Good evening, all. This is Dr. Anupama Gotimukula, President-elect of AAPI. I want to wish all the wonderful women in the world happy International Women's Day. This is a very special day for all of us to come together, to empower ourselves, to enrich ourselves, and also learn from each other, and also learn something from our role models. So women, I want to share a few thoughts with all of you. This is 21st century, and we need to see more women in leadership roles. We are hardly 1/3 in the top leadership levels, and women of color are only 5%. So what are the special attributes for women to lead? So women are inspirational, women are transformational, women emphasize teamwork, women value accountability. Companies have proven that women leading those companies have shown best financial results. And women work with dedication towards realizing their goals. So my advice to all the budding women leaders: pursue your passion, be courageous, be bold, and dare to be different. Wish you all again happy International Women's Day. And I want to thank the team who has organized this event for us tonight. Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Udaya, so much for the, you asked the video. So I didn't know I would be here today because I'm on call. So anesthesia, a lot of anesthesiologists in this group. So I want to wish every one of you happy Women's Day. And I think we are all have achieved something in our lives. We are much ahead of rest of the women in the world. Actually, we should be very fortunate to be here today. And being in the leadership, I just always admire, like, we can do so much through leadership. My track started in leadership from the beginning, so I always think that way. So, and my thoughts flow that way. So I always think like I should do this, like, and I enjoy the teamwork. Everybody knows me well in AAPI. So taking the gavel in July. So we have a very exciting year coming ahead. I'll be more and more visible to all of you, and I look forward for the help, what we can do in API. This women, all these women right now here, I think every one of you can do something a little bit through API. So that's my request to all of you. And let us all work together and achieve some good things in the world. And no matter where we are. And I wish you all a very, very good evening today. Thank you. You're muted, Udaya.
Hello, thank you, Anupama Garu. It was such a nice speech, and I'm glad you could join. Thank you once again. And now I wanted to really commend and congratulate our AAPI Women's Chair, Dr. Anjana Samadhar, coming up with a great idea to organize and recognize and celebrate this special day together. And I wanted to invite her to say a few words. Dr. Anjana Samadhar.
Thank you. Thank you for being, I really appreciate your words. I'm Anjana Samadhar, like she stated. If you don't know me, I've been honored by Dr. Janula Gadda to be the Women's Forum Chair for this year. I wanted to start by wishing all of you a very, very happy International Women's Day. Let us not forget, first, Vijaya Kodali, who is the backbone of API. She's our administrator, and without whom nothing would be possible in this organization. I have seen her work hard every year, working for everyone. This day is to honor all women. It is a focal point in the movement for women's rights. Women, as we all know, have been the backbone of families and different organizations. In API also, women have played an integral role. Women have worked hard, but have not sought any kind of stage time or recognition. My goal as a Women's Forum Chair has been this year to encourage such women to come forward, express themselves. And I really also appreciated everything they did for me. And I want to give everyone stage time and get recognition. In this endeavor, I've been really Janala Gadda. I've been in API for about a couple of decades, but this president has been one president who, like Dr. Shivangi said, has more than 50% of his leadership, he has chosen women. Anytime we call him, he picks up the phone. He encourages all women to go and do activities and get stage time and also to be recognized. He's been an amazing president for all the women. And for him, honoring women is not just mere words. He has actually showed by action that he really respects women and what he has done for women this year of his presidency. So thank you, Dr. Janlagatta. We really appreciate everything you have done for us. I also wanted to thank my team, my co-chairs, Dr. Kusum Punjabi, Dr. Bhavani Srinivasan, and also Dr. Eramali, my advisors, who've always been by my side and worked very hard, Dr. Udaya Shivangi and Dr. Uma Janalagatta. Thank you all for everything you have done this year and stood by me and worked with me in everything. So without further ado, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Shivangi and hand the mic over to Dr. Shivangi so she can carry on this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anjana Samadhar. We really enjoyed working with you, and you have taken the Women's Forum to the next level. Thank you again. Let's right now, I would like to request Ms. Vijaya Kodali to play a tape that is, we have a special video from some Bollywood singers and actors wishing us a happy International Women's Day. Could you please play that video for us, Ms. Kodali?
Women's Day to everyone and special.
Hi everybody, this is Rajiv Kenchi. I'm a Bollywood choreographer and a fashion director. I'm a two-time national award winner and I've done more than 200 Bollywood films. However, I like to wish everybody at AAPI a happy Women's Day to all those energetic and powerful women. And I really would want to extend my congratulations to Dr. Udya and Dr. Anjana for doing a fabulous job there at AAPI and the President, Dr. Sudhakar. Have a great day and happy Women's Day.
Happy Women's Day to everyone and special thank you to all the doctors who encourage and support each other at AAPI. God bless all of you, and during these COVID times you all have done a fantastic job, and I wish you all the very best. God bless you all, and once again a very, very happy Women's Day.
Hi, I'm Bharat Elawat. I'm an actor and a model by profession, and I would like to wish all the women at AAPI a special happy Women's Day. And I would like to thank Dr. Anjana, Dr. Udya, and the President, Dr. Sudhakar. Thank you.
Hi, this is Vin Jangra. I'm an international fashion model and actor from Bollywood. I'm wishing all the women at AAPI happy Women's Day, and my gratitude and respect to Dr. Udya, Dr. Anjana, and President Dr. Sudhakar. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vikas Verma, and you've seen me in Mom, Shandar, Yariyan, Judwa 2, and Coolie #1. I'm wishing all the talented women across the world a very happy Women's Day. Thank you, Happy Forum India, and thank you, Dr. Udya and Dr. Anjana. Happy Women's Day.
Hi, this is Said Abhishek Quake. I'm sure you must have seen my work in India Wali Ma on Sony TV and Kungu Bhagya on ZTV as of now. But happy Women's Day to all the women of Happy Foundation, and a special thanks to Dr. Udya, Dr. Anjana, and to the President Dr. Sudhakar. Looking forward, great work guys. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Jasleen Matharu. You all have seen me in Big Boss Season 12, wishing all the ladies out there from AAPI a very happy Women's Day. Congratulations Dr. Anjana, Dr. Udya.
Hi, this is Padma Vadkar. I'd like to wish all the women doctors at AAPI and the world over a very, very happy Women's Day. It's been a challenging year, and we really, really appreciate all your dedication and hard work. A very special thanks to Dr. Udya and Dr. Anjana for all their efforts with the President, Dr. Sudhakar. Thank you.
नमस्कार, मैं हूँ सुरेश वाडकर। आपी संस्था की सभी महिला डॉक्टर्स को मैं वुमेंस डे की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ और सबको नमस्कार करता हूँ। और स्पेशल थैंक्स टू डॉक्टर उद्या और अंजना जो डायरेक्टर डॉक्टर सुधाकर जी के साथ बहुत मेहनत कर रही हैं, बहुत काम कर रही हैं। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।
Hi, this is Sandesh Swaraj. I'm wishing Happy Women's Day to all the beautiful people in AAPI. Good luck, guys.
Hi, this is Aftab Shivdasani. I'd like to take the opportunity to wish a very, very happy Women's Day to all the strong, powerful, intelligent, resilient, and hardworking women on this very, very special day. I'd also like to congratulate the AAPI Women's Forum for their continued efforts to nurture and inspire young women physicians all over. Also, I'd like to extend my best wishes to Dr. Anjana and Dr. Udaya for their efforts and for their ability to nurture young women and make a difference to the world. So good luck and many, many congratulations.
Thank you. That is all my friends from Bollywood. They really send the wishes for all of us. And of course, Sonu Nigam's wife, she's a very good friend of mine, and she will be willing to, bring her husband for our convention if we have a budget. So anyhow, I was happy that I could get these messages from Mumbai. Anyway, let's start our program. I would now call our beautiful First Lady and also advisor of Women's Forum to come forward and start the program and introduce our first panelist. Hi, Uma.
Hey, thank you, Udaya, for your compliments. And I, as a First Lady of AAPI, it is my honor to join this event and wish each and every woman a happy International Women's Day. I want to thank our President, Dr. Sudhakar Jonalagada, and AAPI Women's Chair, Anjana Samadhar, and Women's Forum Advisor, Udaya Shivangi, and all the distinguished speakers today, and all the women leaders in the audience for celebrating this International Women's Day. We need to celebrate every year and honor the achievements of women. We are a generation equality, and we rise for an equal future. Defy gender stereotypes and teach girls, like Anupama and Sajani Shah said, teamwork and perseverance. The world needs women at every table where the decisions are made. Only 7.4% of the companies in the world are run by women. Only 30% of the women leaders are in the global health sector. And 119 countries never had a woman leader. So we have a lot of work to do. With that being said, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Amy Shah. And Dr. Amy Shah is a board certified internal medicine, integrative medicine, and fellowship trained anti-aging, regeneration, and functional medicine. She's an entrepreneur, pharmacy industry, and a physician executive, philanthropist, and a leader in several local, state, national, nonprofit communities. She's a founder and a CEO of Face-to-Face Health in child-centered, multidisciplinary virtual healthcare, holistic and educational platform focused with modern-day telemedicine. She has been the recipient of the prestigious Top 50 Outstanding Asian Americans in Business in 2012. Let's welcome Dr. Amy Shah.
Thank you so much for that wonderful welcome. It's so great to see so many faces. I also have been in AAPI, oh my goodness, 24 years, starting YPS. I've danced with all of you. I've grown with you. You've mentored me. I've had the opportunity to mentor others on the call. I've been on the BOT. I've been women's. I think I've done a lot of things as well. But most importantly, I get to celebrate International Women's Day with you all. So I'm going to share my screen and let's get started. Let's just make sure everyone can see my screen. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. Whoa, not that one. Sorry, that's for later. Okay. Hold on. Whoops. Technical difficulties, just 1 second. Okay. Let me just go to the beginning. Okay, I'm just gonna go backwards. Okay, so thank you for your patience. So I'm going to talk about entrepreneurial challenges during COVID and life transitions today, and also talk about a little bit about our digital health platform, Face-to-Face Health. I just want to give a shout out. I believe a lot of my team members and family is on to support us on International Women's Day. So I'm super excited for that. So first and foremost, happy International Women's Day. And I love this picture because, as we say, we will continue to press for progress. So I'm going to just thank everyone up front. If there's any questions for me, here's my contact information. Everyone knows where to find me pretty much, I'm sure. So let's talk a little bit about the challenges during COVID. We all know that it's been very stressful the last year. 1 in 5 Americans are feeling lonely. 3 in 10 of the millennials often feel lonely. Over 50% of finances, almost that much employment and housing has been impacted. The mental stress that we've felt and seen in our patients is skyrocketing for anxiety and depression. More importantly, at least for me, having 2 almost 12-year-old twins who are remote learning, it's caused the situation of wearing many hats: organizer, cook, mom, you know, founder, CEO. So we're on so many courts, and there's a lot of life transitions that we may go through: divorce, blended families, people getting sick. So I want to shift and really talk about different leadership styles for different business types, but in the setting of drastic change in a global pandemic, what's really important is the top one: transformational leadership, especially in times of disruption. But what I wanted to educate people on in this short time we have together today is the different types of leadership over time. I know that we've had leadership seminars and so on and so forth, thanks to AAPI, but I just want to remind everyone of the different leadership styles that we can employ in different settings. And here they are for your reading pleasure. I'm not going to go through each and every one in the interest of time. However, transformational leadership, laissez-faire leadership, you know, just go with the flow, and situational leadership and coaching leadership are top ones that we see in our medical profession. But if you look at the ones that work for women at different ages and stages in their careers, it's a combination of these 10 leadership styles that are common. This is from Indeed, but also supported by some Harvard Business School studies. And there's times where you're going to be the coach. There's times where you're going to be the servant. There's times when you're going to be autocratic. There's times when you're going to be democratic. There's times when you're going to be a pace setter. And so the key is to really customize your own leadership style to the situation you're dealing with or the individual you're dealing with, along with your social style. So if you look at leadership styles based on a recent survey and what men or women prefer, you can see that women really prefer transformational leadership as well as, let me go back, precipitatory or democratic leadership. And this is based on a survey of thousands of executive leaders. However, the most important thing is across leadership styles, there's 6 core traits that every leader needs: integrity, vision, positive attitude, a sense of humor, solid communicator, and inspiration. So if we want to break this down into 10 principles for strategic leadership, it's really important. Either we're solo practitioners, we're in a hospital care system, we're in industry, or we're volunteering, but we're always interacting with a team. At Face-to-Face Health, I have a team of amazing people. I don't say I say it's a we company, because I certainly wouldn't be here without my team. On my executive team, we have 9 people. On our extended team, we almost have 15 people. We have 20 different subject matter experts and almost 8 to 10 developers. So if you put that all together, it's almost a team of 40 to 50 people in my startup, off and on, and of which 20 to 30% are full-time. So it's really important to distribute responsibility, be honest and open, create multiple paths for raising and testing ideas, make it safe, motivate, develop opportunities, hire for transformation, bring all of yourself to work. Don't be on a Zoom call and see someone. And take some time out. But this is my favorite slide, the 10 principles for feminist leadership. And you can see the circle, basically be aware, care for yourself and others, dismantle bias, inclusion, share power, be accountable, give respectful feedback, have courage, and have zero tolerance for any type of BS that could go on. Use your words and always take care. So during this pandemic, I've been going through a divorce. So I've been a single mom. It's been interesting. I have 2 kids at homeschool, and I really learned to restart certain things. And I just want to give some toolkits for success. Attitude, confidence, self-love is everything. Taking care of yourself. People tend to complain about your choices, but I would rather say just do it. Ask for support. Lean on family, friends, team members, and colleagues. Listen to others. Silence does not mean a lack of leadership. Be a mentor and also be a mentee. Make objective decisions, not emotional decisions. If we make emotional decisions, calm down and then look at things reflectively. Start small, think big, set micro goals within a bigger goal so you feel like you're achieving something. Be honest, transparent, take time out for yourself, at least 3 times 10 minutes a day. Breathe, meditate, and spend quality time with yourself. That's something I've really enjoyed. Everyone's like, I mean, we haven't seen you. Well, you know, I've been dating myself for the last year. It feels really good. Give credit where credit is due. Use experts. I have the same executive coach off and on for over 20 years. See a therapist if you need help. There's no shame in it. And have your care team. Delegate when needed. Have a babysitter, housekeeper, handyman, and go get the massage. Delegate tasks for quality of life over strife, and understand that during any time of change, having a kid, having a change, going to a blended family, life is dynamic, not static. And lastly, limit social media. So turning to my startup, we had a whole bunch of deals. We were getting ready to go, and then COVID hit. All the momentum we made went backwards, including some funding that was looking really great. What did I have to do? Say, I'm going to give up? No, I went out, I got multiple consulting jobs. I delegated almost day-to-day activities to my team because I would not give up being a mother first, priority. So these are the top reasons that startups fail, just for your interest. But luckily, the team that I have in place is so amazing that I couldn't do it without them. So what is face-to-face health? I'm going to share a short video, but it's built out of a personal journey with my children, and it's a one-stop shop digital market or platform that offers telehealth through medical and non-medical experts from 90 specialties. You can do multi-provider consults, you can do concierge care and advice. We created a health literacy education platform with courses that we created with hundreds of experts from various specialties and communities to share to overcome the 3 barriers of access to care, access to knowledge, and access to support. And if you just want to pause and think, these are the top conditions, 5 conditions in development, learning, behavior, physical disorders, and emotional health that cost our healthcare system directly $200 billion in healthcare. And with children, they are our future. They are the pipeline of patients. And with any of these delays, you have an 8 to 10-fold increased risk of having an adult chronic condition. So screening and early intervention is the key to all these conditions and multidisciplinary care. And if you look at digital health, it's very vertical. There's so many thousands of startups, hundreds and billions of dollars in funding. But what we are is we're putting all of this in one place. We have 300 providers on our platform, and we have 2 major big promotions coming out with ShopRite, Huggies Diapers, and NFL alumni. So please, to learn more, I'm going to play a short video. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being who you are and what you do. And with that, I'm going to end with this video, which will explain a little more about all of the things I personally and my team had to overcome in this last year to really get where we are. Okay. It was just playing. Let me see if give me a second. Oh, let's see. So thank you very much. I will take any questions if we have time, and I'm really thankful and grateful. Please join our journey, learn more, and keep on doing what you do to advance women globally, locally, to your left, to your right. And it's a pleasure to be part of this tribe of women and men. So thank you. Any questions? Hope you enjoyed the presentation.
The questions will be usually
at the end. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Emisha, for showing us the challenges during the COVID and major leadership styles and also toolkits for success. Thank you. You are very inspirational for a lot of physicians. Yes. With that said, I'm going to invite our next speaker, Dr. Swati Gaur. She is a geriatrician in Gainesville, Georgia. She's the chair of Infection Advisory Committee and the COVID Task Force for the Society for the Post Long-Term Care of a member of a board and long-term care and a member of the board in a society. She is also a member of Innovation Platform Advisory Council. She has several publications in peer-reviewed journals and speaker on issues in geriatrics and COVID. Please welcome Dr. Swati Gaur.
Thank you. Thank you for that kind introduction. Yes, and I'm so happy to be here on the International Women's Day and introduce actually our next speaker, Dr. Sheila Shah. And she is, Dr. Sheila Shah has an internal medicine practice in North Palm Beach, Florida. She's also an assistant professor of medicine in Florida International University. She has been a chief of staff at St. Mary's Medical Center. Also has been the president of Female Indian Physicians of Florida, and has had multiple leadership opportunities in multiple groups from her CV in Palm Beach County as well, including the president of Palm Beach Indian Association. And she is gonna talk about a topic that is very apropos to her CV. She take a leap into leadership roles. So welcome, Dr. Shah.
Yes. Let me share my screen. Yes. Yeah, just a minute. That's fine. Okay. Just a second. Share my screen. 1 second. Sorry. 1 second. Can you see my screen? Oh my God.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, that is my last slide. Let me go to my first one. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Good evening, all you lovely ladies. It's such a pleasure to be here. I want to thank the president of AAPI and also Dr. Shivangi, Dr. Samadhar for contacting me and asking me to speak today. It's my pleasure and my honor to do that. And it is such a pleasure to be with such accomplished people today here. I just want to talk about women leadership. Now, many of the doctors already have spoken something that I really wanted to speak, but I'm going to just repeat some of the points. And I can tell you, we women have come a long, long way in the past few decades, but we definitely have much more longer way to go. Today, I see women excel in all walks of life. Women have broken the glass ceiling, and what a pride for all of us. I am today assistant professor of medicine at FIU, and I've been there 4 years. And let me tell you, it is such a pleasure to see every year the amount of ladies that join the FIU program is significantly increasing year to year to year. The last year, the admission was 54% were women, where 46% were male students. A big round of applause to us. The second thing that you see I've done is looked at Ivy League schools. Within a decade, Ivy League school admissions have gone up by from 25% to 35% with women. So women are really stepping up to the plate. Where are women lacking? They are lacking in the, what I say is in the, they are lacking in the C-suites. What do I mean by the C-suites? The C-suites are the CEO, the CFO, the COOs, the CIO, and the CMO positions. Now, I'm going to share some of the points here. When you look at the junior position levels, you see there are 60% of the women who are there at the junior position levels, and they do great. In the middle management, they are up to 50%. Senior management, the women are 20%. So where do we lag behind? It is, we are less than 10% at the top of the pyramid, which is the C-suites. So we need to do something where we can climb the ladder there. Now, what is the path to female leadership? I believe the two elements that are most important for female leaderships are confidence and connections. And I believe that the way we can encourage females are, we need to take care of them when the girls are young. We need to start encouraging them at the childhood level. Talk to them about leadership roles to your little ones, to your little daughters. Plant that seed in their head that they can be leaders, they can rise to the top highest levels if they can. And we as physicians, we can really play a great role in mentoring these young kids. The next thing is the women, we need to have role models. The more role models we have, the better we perform. And I can only speak for myself. When I was growing up, my father was one of my role models. And he always encouraged me. He told me, Sheila, one day you're going to do good because you have the talent, but please don't give up. And my other role model when I was growing up was our Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. I always wanted to be like her. I wanted to be the next Indira Gandhi. I didn't become, but at least I'm very satisfied to where I have reached in my life today. My second role model was Mother Teresa. I worked with her in Calcutta in the leprosy unit. And let me tell you, that role model taught me about humanity, about compassion, and about humility. She made me realize what compassion can do for people. And my last but final role model was a doctor at the hospital where I worked. She was the chief of staff of that hospital, and she was the first chief of staff after 50 years there. And I wanted to be one of them, but always doubted myself after having all the leadership roles at that hospital. Can I ever reach that position? A 450 bed level 1 trauma center with only 5% of the physicians who are Indians. What chance do I have to get there? And knowing what my colleagues were, my people who were running against me. But she sat with me and she told me, don't doubt yourself. Look at where you have been. Believe in yourself and go for it. And let me tell you, her words of confidence, I put my name in the hat and Lord behold, I won the position and I was the chief of staff for 4 years at that hospital. What a sense of pride it was. If that woman would not have given me that courage, I don't think I would have achieved that. Next, I would like to talk about, so my last thing I want to just talk about is we women in leadership, some of the schools have done survey on these women, and this is what they find, that confidence is an attribute women themselves identify as the key to leadership success. 79% lacking confidence, seeking the mentors. 76% have difficulty asking for senior leaderships, and 61% have problem requesting a promotion for themselves. So the key findings, these are just few of the statements written by ladies who have reached some success in life. Adina Friedman, she's the president of NASDAQ. And what she says is, just say yes. Use any fear as your motivation. Be successful. That fear will then turn into confidence. Next is Maggie Wildrotter, the executive chairman of the Frontier Communications. A way to move more women forward is to identify high-performing women and give them stretch assignments that will help them reach their full potential. Next is Michelle Lee. Recognize when women do great work, appreciated, celebrated, and rewarded. And let me tell you, we have our female Indian physicians of Florida, a group we started in 2018. And few of my colleagues who are going to be speakers here, exceptional support I got from them. And we started this organization because we wanted to connect with women. Women can understand each other a little better. And look where we are today, 150 members strong, so connected during these difficult times, so proud. And I'm so thankful to all my members in this organization. Next is, the last thing I will say before we leave is well said by Lynn Doherty. Own your career. Don't wait for someone to come and tap on your shoulder and present an opportunity for you. You make your own opportunities and fly like an eagle. And with this, I end my presentation. Thank you all for listening. It was a great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. You know, you're absolutely right. Mentorship among each other, you know, none of us have done it alone. It's always one of us who pulls the other person up and hold each other's hands to go forward. So absolutely right. And then, you know, one of the things that I also remember is don't be afraid to stick out your neck. If not me, then who, you know, is the mentality. So thanks for those words as well. And the last thing, you can probably see my kids back there. Don't just teach your girls, also teach your boys to respect women. And by leading forward, I think all the women in this forum are really being an example to the boys to create spaces for their colleagues, hopefully in their generation as well. So thank you so much for that. I want to introduce Dr. Madhavi Gurusu. She's a hematologist and oncologist in Connecticut. She served as Vice President of the CMG branch of Sterling Physicians. She has also served as the President and serves on the Board of Trustees of Connecticut Associations of Physicians of India. She's a member of Board of Trustees for Hartford Leukemia Lymphoma Society. She's the founder of nonprofit in India, Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi Foundation, which serves the underprivileged. She's also the co-founder of online healthcare journal, the Hartford Health Chronicles.com. She was awarded Women in Business 2021 by the Hartford Business Journal as well. She's an assistant professor at of medicine at the University of Connecticut. So it's my pleasure to introduce her.
Thank you. What an electrifying evening. What stellar women. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Uma Jonalgadda, for giving me an opportunity. If not, I would have missed. What electrifying speakers. Kudos. Let me introduce, and it's my privilege to introduce Dr. Asha Padmanabhan, MD FSA. who is a board certified anesthesiologist, managing a full-time clinical career with administrative responsibilities as a medical director of a department. She is also quite active in leadership in her state anesthesia society. And she has been elected to the executive board as well as nationally in the American Society of Anesthesiologists. She has been in leadership positions for over 10 years. And during that, she realized early on that women physicians in leadership or aspiring to be leaders face a unique set of challenges. You are 100% right. As an accidental leader being thrown into leadership totally unprepared, she soon realized how lonely and isolating being a woman physician in leadership was and the lack of resources available. Having been through several leadership training programs over the years, she became passionate about sharing what she has learned through her own leadership struggles with other women physicians by creating networking groups, mentoring, advising women physicians. She has run workshops and mentored young women physicians through her local and state medical societies. Excellent. And then, flirting with the edges of burnout, she explored coaching as a way to enhance her own leadership skills and find more fulfillment in medicine. Being coached helped her realize coaching was a very foundation to building skills to achieve career fulfillment and be a resilient leader. And through her own personal transformation, through coaching into being a happier human being, a more effective leader, mentor, sponsor, encouraged her to train as a physician coach. So, she has a lot of other hats. The list is unending, but I would be doing injustice if I don't mention the rest. So please allow me. She coaches women physicians in leadership development, career transformation, career resilience. She loves working with women physicians in early career, looking to find ways to balance career ambitions with family life. Her goal is to empower women physicians to be the leaders they are meant to be at work and at home, even without a formal leadership title. Great. Now the podium is yours, please.
Thank you, Dr. Madhavi, for that introduction. And I really want to thank everyone here for this opportunity. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay, so again, thank you everyone for this huge opportunity that I have over here. And this month, we are celebrating Women's History Month, as everyone knows, and today is International Women's Day. And so for this AAPI Women's Forum, especially Anjana and Udaya, who invited me, and for the president who put this together, thank you, and I really appreciate this. So as you may be aware, and we have had several speakers who mentioned this, the theme for this year is Choose to Challenge. And for me, this is really close to my heart because this last year, as all of us know, we all were challenged. So I chose to challenge not just the system, but myself. And this is where I come to this topic of the resilient woman physician, rekindling your joy and finding fulfillment in medicine, because I believe that the biggest, sometimes the barriers or obstacles that we may have may be within ourselves. So healing the healer is one of my joys. As you know, I want you to think back to the first time you joined med school and how excited you were to be part of this noble profession. And now think back over the last few years. Did you feel exhausted, or did you feel emotionally distanced? Did you question yourself, wondering how long you can continue in medicine this way? Or have you ever entertained thoughts about quitting medicine? Have you felt like no matter what you do, it doesn't matter anyway about patients? Why care about patients or medicine? And as a woman physician, have you felt like you're pulled between your family, your work, and your own expectations of yourself as an Indian woman and a physician? And have you felt like you've been a hamster on a wheel, running constantly, but never getting anywhere? What I've told you are all the symptoms of burnout. And if I did a survey among everyone here, I'm positive that most, if not all of you, have experienced some of these. Several of the speakers here today, I know Dr. Anupama, Dr. Ami, and Dr. Shah have all mentioned leadership and how we need more women to be leaders. But for us to be effective leaders, we need to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves and we are finding our own joy in medicine. Because, and this is important because the world and America needs Indian women physicians to continue practicing medicine and to enjoy it. And today I'd like to give you a few tips on how you can do that. Because although several studies have shown that burnout and causes of burnout are systemic issues, I mean, who doesn't think about EMRs or EHRs and productivity challenges and seeing 15 patients in a 2-hour period? All of those have a big role within for our causes of burnout. But there are only certain things that are within our own control as individuals, and that's what I would like to talk to you about today. I love this quote, but many times I don't feel that this is the case. And I don't know many of you who might feel that they are the master of their own fate. But that is something to aspire to. So in general, we know that physicians are more resilient than the general population, but even with that, we ourselves are not immune to symptoms of burnout. So I want to make clear though, when I start, that these resilience exercises and tips that I give you are not the only solution. We still have to work on the entire system itself and make changes there. But these are some of the things that can help us as women physicians. So why is this important for us to know? Women physicians, all physicians, especially women, by the nature of our very careers and by the fact of our gender, are under a tremendous amount of stress. More with our Indian upbringing, we put more stress on ourselves because we have more expectations of ourselves as to be a good mom, good wife, be a caregiver, homemaker, all the while we have our own responsibilities as a full-time career physician. And as we start advancing in our career towards leadership, the more the pressure. So no wonder we feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. And all of this leads to stress, anxiety, cynicism, lack of satisfaction and joy, and essentially those are the symptoms of burnout. So how can we stop this? So I like to think of resilience as a spring, and resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. And this is how we react to stress. We can react to stress in different ways. We can be bound, we can be pushed down and depressed by it, or we can choose to be resilient and bounce back. And it's not that easy to bounce back unless we know how to take care of ourselves. I like to think of resilience as having 3 pillars: mindset, support, and self. I think mindset is the biggest key to how we can take care of ourselves and take care of our patients and find the joy in medicine. Mindset dictates how we react to any given situation. You may know this, but optimistic people are more resilient. And the optimistic people don't tend to blame themselves when bad events occur, unlike people who are more pessimistic, who would tend to blame themselves. And if something goes wrong, say, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, I can't be in this position, or I'm not a good leader. The second pillar is self-care, taking care of ourselves, being compassionate. And Dr. Ami Shah mentioned this a little bit in her talk, finding our purpose. And it's all well and good to think we are doctors and we can just continue taking care of patients, but unless we know why we do what we do, we really cannot find joy in what our work. Self-compassion, we tend to sometimes beat ourselves up the most. We sometimes tend to blame ourselves for things or think that we are not as good as we can be. And this is one of the key things I've found in leadership and in working with women leaders is we tend to undervalue ourselves most, where people of the male gender might not do that. We tend to push ourselves or devalue ourselves a lot more. The third would be support. Again, we know that it takes a village to raise a child, but so many times we tend not to ask for support. We tend to, especially in young careers, early on in our career, we tend to want to do everything ourselves because we have that mom guilt of being a working mom and wanting to still take care of our families and our kids and do everything that we can for them. And so we tend not to ask for help. And we tend not to form social relationships because early in our career, we are working hard, we are taking care of the kids, and any extra time we don't want to spend with friends and family, friends really, because we think that that is time that should be spent with our kids. So we tend to neglect those social relationships, and we tend to want to do everything on our own. Again, as Dr. Amisha mentioned, get that caregiver, get that babysitter, get that coach. So having learned a little bit about what stress and burnout is and how we can learn to take care of ourselves, these are the tools for resilience. The ones for a mindset, which I said is the most important, then the ones for self-care, and the ones for support in the community. I'd like to just give you one. There is no, let me tell you one thing, there is no magic bullet. You can't just say, I'm going to start thinking positively, or I'm just going to be optimistic, because that's not how our minds work. Our minds work, our thoughts are work in a repetitive pattern. We are used to thinking in a certain way through years and years of our life. And to change that is not that easy. It takes work every single day. Learned optimism, reframing, cognitive restructuring, these are different tools for how you can work on your mind. So one thing I want to, this may be a little unusual for most people, is to say that our thoughts are what create our actions and the results. And the second thing I want to say is, we are only responsible for our own thoughts and actions. We are not responsible for anyone else's thoughts, feelings, and actions. And those two things really changed my life when I started actually believing that, and figuring out that every person at work that I upset wasn't because, it may have been something that I did, but their reactions could be based on their own perceptions and their own thoughts about whatever the situation was. So learned optimism, reframing, cognitive structuring is one very quick example, a very simplistic example of how you can do this, how you can shift your thoughts around is, for example, you come home late from work, you still have charts to do, your child, you still need to make dinner, your child is supposed to have finished his homework by this time you get home, but he hasn't. So you walk in, you're stressed out, you are impatient, you have all these thoughts in your head about what should have happened and why your child didn't do it and why you're so angry and mad. And what happens? You end up yelling at the child, you give that child timeout, then you still have to make dinner and you still have to do the homework. So you go through this cycle in a very bad mood, and everyone in the family is affected. And not just, this is just not a personal example, you can take this and use this at work, it's the same thing. But what if you flip that thought, and instead of getting angry when you came home and you saw the situation, you kind of observed that thought and decided that, yes, this happened, but maybe there's a reason for it, and let me deal with this in a different manner. And what that does is basically shift that interaction that happens and turns it around. So now you have a more positive interaction. And this is a very simplistic one to do at home, but this is the same thing about reframing and learned optimism that you can do at work, especially for us women physicians, as we are in leadership positions and we face challenges. Instead of thinking that I cannot apply for this position, or I'm not good at this, or I don't have the skills, there are ways to reframe that to be more positive and take that skill and apply for those positions. I find that many women physicians don't go into leadership or hold back because of thoughts like this. So here's where all these skills come in. The second one is for self-care, and these are things that all of us know: exercise, meditation, all of these are things that we know to take care of ourselves. And the third, the wheel of life, building a network. Wheel of life is where you basically create a diagram of what you want in your life, what the areas of your life are that are important, and how you are in that moment right now, and what value do you give to it. If you're doing very well at work, if you're doing maybe so-so in the family life, or you're doing so-so within your friendships, what is it that you want to work? So these are things that we can all work on, small ways to make life more interesting and make our work more joyful. So next steps, now that you've learned what these tools are, how do you go about using them? So there's a lot of stuff online. You can use worksheets, you can do seminars, you can be coached, you can do self-coaching, you can do all sorts of things. So on the interest of time, I'm going to stop there and I'll be open to questions at the end. But I want to leave you with this. She was unstoppable not because she did not have failures or doubts, but because she continued on despite them. This is my wish for each and every woman physician here, each and every physician. Don't let doubts, failures, don't let your burnout symptoms stop you from being the best that you can be. Now I'm going to stop screen sharing now.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. The positive reconstruction and the network are, I think, were 2 points which were extremely stuck into me. Thank you. Now let me take it forward by introducing Dr. Kinjal Solanki, AAPI MSRF President. She is an infectious disease fellow at Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital. She has been a frontline warrior during the COVID pandemic, public health being her main area of interest. Dr. Solanki, the podium is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Gurusu. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Shahnaz Fateh. Dr. Fateh is the Director of Division of Asthma, Allergy, and Immunology and an Associate Clinical Professor at the Department of Internal Medicine at Nova Southeastern University's Dr. Kiran C. Patel College of Osteopathic Medicine. Dr. Fateh is the Director of Allergy and Immunology at the Asthma Allergy Care Center in Florida. She earned her undergraduate degree from Emory University and received her medical degree from the Medical College of Georgia, Augusta University. Dr. Fateh completed her internship and residency at Jackson Memorial Hospital in internal medicine at University of Miami and completed her allergy and immunology fellowship at the New York Hospital, Cornell University. Dr. Fateh is an active speaker in asthma and allergy at community, state, and national conferences. She's published in her area of specialty. Dr. Fateh is the current president of American Association of Allergists and Immunologists from India and the president of Broward County Medical Association. She's on the leadership board of directors for the American Lung Association and is an executive board member of Female Indian Physicians of Florida. So we warmly welcome you, Dr. Fateh. The podium is yours.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I really want to thank everybody who's on this call and following all of you exceptional women and speakers. My goodness, I have a tough show to follow. I really want to thank the president of AAPI, thank Shivangi, Dr. Shivangi and Dr. Samadhar and all of you in leadership who invited us to come and speak. And I really am looking forward to also meeting all of you in person in a week and inviting you down and welcoming you to South Florida. So for some of you, the weather will be quite lovely. The beach is amazing. So we will enjoy this. You know, as a South Florida leader, it took me a while to go into leadership. I was invited to come into lots of different forums. I was always very active through fellowship and training, joining different organizations, but actually taking the top rung, saying, you know what, I can do this, didn't have much for me to do with confidence or feeling that I didn't have the ability. It was the time. I think to what Asha said earlier, I wanted to wear the mom hat with 2 children, and I felt very guilty with the long hours that I spent in clinic. And so it took me a while until my children became a bit more independent, 11th, 12th grade, in high school, knowing that they were being set, going on to college and so forth, that I felt, you know, that this is now the time to really take leadership positions that were being offered. I've also been very active in the American Medical Women's Association. So since this is a forum of women and women leaders, I've been the South Florida president of that chapter here, and also have been on the national committees for a number of years as executive fundraiser, finance, and treasurer for 3 years. I'm currently serving, and I invite all of you who'd like to join, in the Preventive Medicine Task Force of AMWA as their national chair, and particularly working in mentorship with residents and female medical students. So today, if you can go ahead and roll up my slides, what I'd like to do is kind of go through some lessons that we've learned through history. So to close out this evening, It's a bunch of quotable quotes. I'm looking at women who have been inspired and who've inspired me. I thought through over the history of who are the women that I've seen that have gone through different forms of leadership, styles of leadership, and those that I would really enjoy trying to emulate in some form, some small kernel that I could take from their experiences. So next slide, please. So we'll start with Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc is really well known. This is a woman who's known as the Maid of Orleans, considered a French heroine. France had a devastating economy, and here comes this peasant girl who's only 17 years old and says that she has divine guidance to lead the French army against the British. And so this was momentous because she actually did it. There was a momentous victory for the French, and that's why she's been called the Maid of Orleans. This was also otherwise known as the 100 Years' War. And what she was doing at this point was saying, I'm not afraid. I was born to do this. She is credited for awakening the French consciousness. So part of what we think about when I thought about her is, what's my awareness? When did I get aware that I could become a leader? I think to what Dr. Shah said earlier, it's really important. We get this from childhood, don't we? Our parents encourage us. So I don't have a slide for thanking my parents. Really, they're the people I'd go back to and say, credit them for saying, my dad always said, never see a problem as a problem. What's the solution? That was the question he would ask us. If we complained, we couldn't whine because daddy's question would be, how are you going to solve that problem? So thinking about our approach, thinking about how we might do things as we went through grade school, high school, college, coming into leadership positions, we were quietly being coached by our parents. So next slide. Cleopatra. So Cleopatra is well known as the Queen of Egypt, and we all have seen lots of movies, theaters, and presentations and films of her saga. The famous queen who had relations with Julius Caesar and became the wife of Mark Antony of the Roman Empire. She was known as being very ambitious, focused on intelligence and education to learn. So although people could remember her as some of her methods being very ruthless, she was very strong and wanted to create a new society. Some of her methods are not those that I would find very comforting or would want to adopt. But the fact that she had ambition in a time where men were rulers across the globe is something to be commended, that she could stand up and say, intelligence and education are needed to get where I need to be at the top ruler. So her positive characteristic was relying on herself and aligning and cultivating relationships to achieve her goals. So this is important. When we think about aligning and cultivating who we are, we have to build relationships with our colleagues. Today, there are so many of us that are on this conference and so many amazing women leaders, and I've just heard some amazing talks. So I definitely want to reach out and meet each person and ask, how can I learn from you? I took notes during this presentation because there were some amazing pointers that all of you have provided. Next slide. Marie Curie. Marie Curie is a famous physicist, famous for her work on radioactivity. Unfortunately, with all the research that she did, she ended up developing leukemia and passing away in 1963 from this. She was a quiet woman. She was not somebody who had a lot of fanfare, a lot of press all the time, even though she won the Nobel Prize twice. First woman to win the Nobel Prize and then again, repeat winner. So she showed that she could not only work with women, but she could be quite successful working with men. And I think that's also an important lesson for us to learn. We are here talking about women, but we know our husbands, our children who are male children, these are the other half of us that help us get to where we are. I certainly can say without the support of my family, without the support of my son or my husband, I couldn't do what I do. This past year with COVID, of course, my parents are older, and being in the office and trying to figure out how to see patients, certainly my son, who was amazing to do all the Zoom calls with the physicians, picking up the prescriptions at pharmacy, checking in on Nana and Nani. So couldn't have done that unless, we work with our male counterparts. And so she exemplified perseverance and confidence. These are both characteristics that are standouts that we can all learn from. One story about her I'll share briefly is that most of us don't know that she was so simple and humble. She was a governess, and she worked for a number of years to get money to give her sister an education. And it took time for her to study math and physics on her own so that she could enter university at age 24. And so her style of leadership was hands-on, working directly with her husband, and her curiosity, really brought science to a different level. Albert Einstein said of Marie Curie is, of all celebrated beings, the only one whom fame has not corrupted. So she didn't ask for thanks. She did it because this was really her love and her passion. Next slide. Mother Teresa. I think, Sheila, you also said Mother Teresa is an inspiration. And I think I went to Calcutta as a youngster and got a chance to really go to a couple of different centers. Of course, I did not meet her, but I remember the impression I had of her charity and her incredible humanitarian efforts. So her attributes of charity, giving, and compassion are unheralded. Her leadership style was one of determination, though. This was a woman who is Greek by birth, who came to India. And she said, by birth, I am Albanian. By citizenship, I am Indian. By faith, I'm a Catholic nun. As to my calling, I belong to the world. So we know her as a woman who has given out, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of meals to people, clothed them, provided them shelter. And so in order for her to do this, she was a type of leader that was really situational. She responded to whatever people needed, and she did it. She didn't say, I can't do this. She found a source, found a way, and got the job done and helped whenever she could. So this is a lesson we can do. Sometimes we may not feel that we're experts in leadership in an area. We may not have all the skill sets, but we can be determined to help. In whatever small ways we can, we need to be able to step up and help our colleagues if they're in need, or help in whatever situation that we have. So she inspires me for those reasons as well. Next slide. Shirley Chisholm. She's the first Black woman elected to the US Congress. She's a political pioneer. She broke lots and lots of barriers. Can you imagine in the 60s running as for Congress and being elected as an African-American woman? It's the first one that came into US Congress, opened the door for many people to follow, people of different races. And so she's a groundbreaker. So examples of her work really were the servant style. So we think about a leadership style, some of the ones that were mentioned earlier, she put the needs of her community before her. And she was recognized for taking responsibility, guiding, listening, and directing a whole generation of African Americans to follow. And she had a very big common goal. She wanted to be the president. And I don't know if most of you know that she was the first African-American woman to run and be nominated for the office of president from the Democratic Party. She did not win the nomination and she was not elected, yet she put her neck out and said, I'm going to run for this and I'm going to challenge myself, fully well knowing she was not going to win, but she didn't hesitate to take that role. Next. Indira Gandhi. So, she is a woman who is the first and only Prime Minister of India. I saw my parents earlier this evening, and I have to tell you, saw a nice photo of my grandfather, my Nana, with Nehru, her father. And as they met in India, it's a lovely big picture that I keep in my house and I keep in my parents' house. So she is responsible for modernizing a country, bringing a country that was known only as a poor nation and bringing it to the forefront. And she was a tough leader. She had the green grain revolution and tried to feed, and India was at that time known just for poverty and a burgeoning mass that did not have the ability to feed its population. And she changed that. Indira Gandhi said there are two kinds of people, those who do the work and those who take the credit. Try to be in the first group. There's less competition there. So most people want to take the credit for what they do. And I think that I've seen this in lots of leadership areas, that instead of giving thanks, instead of reaching across and saying this so-and-so helped and, trying to take a credit for something doesn't really lead us to be good leaders. So I think this is a really important quote to kind of keep in mind. Next. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RGB, I said, she's an all-around cool person. RGB, Supreme Court Justice, we all know who she is. Her unfortunate passing away this past year. She's a fearless SCOTUS judge. She's hip, she's influential, she's inspirational, and she's best known for gender parity, breaking into the Supreme Court, breaking into the highest position of the courts for the United States, and a real strong advocate for the rights of women in the workplace and in the world. She believed in honor, dignity, understanding the weight of representation, wanted to say, wait, we think about medical school. Earlier, Sheila said that there were 54% of the class at Florida International University were women. Well, there are leaders who helped us get there, right? And so RGB was a real factor in advocating for women and making sure that there was parity in classrooms, whether it's a law school or a medical school. And one of the things when you read about her is that she said, take things step by step. And that's an important lesson for us to learn as leaders. We will not always achieve everything overnight. It can take us years, sometimes decades, before we achieve our goals. So we have to have patience, we have to have resilience, we have to have determination, and we have to have the willpower and staying power to stay and look at our goals to try to achieve those ends. So seated change is one of her key roles of how she did leadership. So a couple of quotes I thought that I'd share with you. She said, there's a sense that time is precious and you should enjoy and thrive in what you're doing to the hilt. Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. And I think that's important. Doing things in a way that has kindness, that has compassion, and that is really speaking to the audience for whatever goals you want to achieve really changes. More people will join you for that endeavor. And, we talked about wellness earlier. Several people have brought that up before me. This is an individual who found the time to do yoga and exercise and do Pilates. So she's also an example of someone who had so much on her plate but took the time for self-care. Next. So Indra Nui, and I misspelled her name, I apologize, the CEO of PepsiCo, who no longer is the CEO, but I really think for the Indian community and for Indian women brought something when we think about that C-suite. She was pretty incredible. Her goal and how she taught her leadership role was really based on the 5 C's: competency, courage, confidence, communication, and compass. What's the direction? So compass, I thought, was very interesting. We think about somebody having the skill set, courage, got to have courage. Can't do any of this unless we're willing to stand up to fight for what we believe. Confidence is there, communicating with her vast number of employees across the US as well as the world. But compass is, what's my direction? Where do I want to go with this? So one of the things that she was really well known as a leader and has been balancing the short and the long term, developing understanding of public and private partnerships, thinking globally, but acting locally, keeping an open mind and adapting to change, and has always been an advocate to lead with your head and your heart. So at the end of the day, don't forget that you are a person. Don't forget that you're a mother, a wife, and a daughter. So I think this really resonates with all of us here. And she definitely will be an inspiration to future CEOs and is going to be a guiding light for many, many generations. A simple fact I'll say about her, how effective her leadership was, she brought shareholder returns of 162% during her tenure. So that's saying something about women power. Next. Oprah Winfrey. I don't know if any of you have gone to any of the big Oprah events, but whenever Oprah Winfrey comes down to South Florida, I always go to her events. And I think, of Oprah as this amazing, great communicator. She has compassion, she has energy, she has drive. We think of her as this incredible person who can do these amazing interviews and bring all these A-listers, knocking on her door for this interview. But think about Oprah. She can't do this unless she pays attention. She's prepared. She's a good listener. She values people and their dreams, and she aligns her dreams with her values. And so I think there's a lot more to Oprah than sometimes we think. It's not the things that she's tossing out in her audience. She really knows who she's speaking to. So when we have leadership and we're talking to our groups, we need to hear what they have to say. This past year as BCMA president, I had to listen to my board and think about the stories that they were sharing about colleagues who were furloughed, who did not have the ability to keep their offices open, They had difficulties with PPE. So we had a lot to think about in terms of what are their stories, and I had to listen so that we could figure out how to make those solutions. Oprah says, don't worry about being successful, but work toward being significant, and the success will naturally follow. And that's important. Sometimes if all we're looking is the light at the end of the tunnel, we forget we've got a path that we have to follow, we have to work hard, and we will reach there. So she's a charismatic and a visionary leader. And I think one of the things that we see with Oprah is her ability to be a mentor. And she's really mentored a lot of women, and a lot of us who've seen her speak try to exemplify and borrow some of her traits if we can. Next. Cheryl Sandberg. Most of you know her very well. You know, Lean In is a book that we put for the book club to read. And I think most of us have read this. This is a woman who has a strong, open communication, works with optimism and positivity, tries to reinforce this in her workplace, and believes in gratitude for the people that work for her. And I think that's an important skill of a leader. We run our offices. So I'm not a big CEO, not a big COO. I don't have a lot of those C things that I'd love to be able to get, but I don't. But I am the COO or CEO or CMO of my office. So as a business leader in my own small practice, I work with my staff every day. So being able to say good morning, thank you, thanking them over and over for the hard work that they do, and showing them gratitude is really important. And so I think these small things that a big CEO can do for a group like Facebook, we can do that for our office every day, and learn that when we show empathy, when we show thanks for their hard work, we get many things in return. She talks a lot in her book about learning agility. I think that's important. Some things that we are asked to do, we don't know how to do, but being open and thinking about learning new materials and topics, learning that we can be agile and we can adapt is really important. Her quotes that I thought that I'd pick out for us tonight were, what would you do if you weren't afraid? What are we afraid of? So really, really, really don't need to be afraid of anything. We can sit back and think, okay, you know what, I can do this. See it as a challenge. And that's the topic of this evening's presentation, right? So I think Sheryl Sandberg really embodies this. Next slide. And she also says, trying to do it all and expecting that it all can be done exactly right is a recipe for disappointment. Perfection is the enemy. And I think we as perfectionists, A-type colleagues in this audience who are used to doing very well. We grew up in a culture where A's were all that were expected, and being at the top of the class is what's expected for many of us generationally from our families, that if we didn't make the grade of what we thought we had the grade, that we would be disappointed. And I think it's the journey, the path, the willingness to put your neck out there, that really is what the goal of leadership is. And that's really the purpose of leaning in. Next. So Michelle Obama, I've seen her in person and met her a few times, and just an amazing persona to be around. First lady, mom, leader, advocate, speaker, an incredibly strong personality. She's an author, currently has a podcast host as another title for her. Really involved in service and leadership by example. Her character, which is very strong, her ability to motivate people, be passionate about issues, is just exceptional. She's a role model for millions of women around the world, and she's taken on the big, difficult issues. It's not easy to be an African-American in the White House and to talk about racism, public health, women's rights, but she didn't shirk from any of those challenges and did talk and try to move the topic during her tenure in the White House as the First Lady. She's a risk taker. She stepped outside of the traditional First Lady expectations, and she lives by her values. She's brave. She refuses to accept the status quo. So although this is a woman who has a lot of strong characteristics and has a lot of strong character, some of us may not be able to be as strong as her. We may not have a strong personality. We may not have the ability to always be such big risk takers, but we can learn to be motivational. We can learn to be passionate about the work that we do, the issues that matter to us, and to work and live by our values. Next. So Zaha Hadid, this is an Iraqi architect. Most of us have seen her work and traveled to hotels and places because she has an amazing perception of what architecture is. And she's known for her eye-catching, futuristic spaceship twisted configurations throughout the world that she's put and created that seem to defy both gravity and space. And this is often what we think of luxury architecture. But you know, when she started out as an architect, she was thought of being too avant-garde, and people would call her just as a paper architect, drawing nice designs, but not really being able to see them develop to fruition. But she was she persevered and was very resilient. And so I think, you know, her lesson of life, and unfortunately she passed away when she was here in Miami in 2016 from asthma, which, you know, as an asthma specialist is quite disheartening. But what she did is she said, you know what, I can do something different. Not only was she the recipient of the Pritzker Architecture Prize as the first woman to do this, but she changed the landscape of how we look at something. And this quote about what's nice about concrete is that it looks unfinished, is that she could see something that would look like a block of rock, you know, just a lump of something, a lump of clay. But she had the imagination, the creativity, the will to make something and mold it and sculpt it and create something. Next. So here's 3 different pictures of what she's created. The first, of course, is the London Aquatic Center that she created for the 2012 Olympics. In the middle is a tower that was it's in Miami, and the far right is the Opus building in Dubai. And so you can just see the beauty of what she has created and let her imagination flow, and was never going to be hampered because a male-dominated community of architects said, no, you can't do this. She proved them wrong. She did it, and she did it in her humble way. Next. So closing out the last slide, I thought I'd bring up Jennifer Doudna, the code breaker CRISPR. So for those of us who love genetics and immunogenetics, as an immunologist, of course, been following CRISPR from its inception for a long time through magazines and at meetings. And to me, she's the futurist. She is bringing sci-fi to medicine. This is the stuff of Star Trek, you know, and we would look at the wand over the patient and you could quickly find a disease and an answer. Really what she's done with gene editing and bringing possibilities of curing the incurable. She's bringing back to the discussion in terms of what we need to do as physicians and leadership is talk about what's the ethics in medical research. Biological frontiers that are changing in medicine are changing very rapidly. And she's bringing all of these things that we have talked about for many years now at this moment to the forefront of discussion. And she acknowledges that the responsibility of this type of innovation and ramifications are really broad and how this will apply to society. So we may be nearing the beginning of the end of genetic diseases. And so that's powerful. So this is another role of a leader and a woman who's a scientist who's helped create this technology for which she's received a Nobel Prize in chemistry. But she's also quite aware that this is going to have large spectrum of consequences and speaks to that openly. And I didn't put the last slide, but I would have put the last slide would have been Malala Yousafzai, who's the young Pakistani girl who was shot by the Taliban. And, you know, she's a visionary. She is what I would call courage, and literally courage under fire in a repressive society. And she's rather a fearless, transformative, visionary leader. So I unfortunately did not put her picture up, but I love her quote: "One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world." And really, when it comes to what we as women can do, one woman, one moment, one mom, one child, one daughter, you know, we can change the world as well. So one step at a time and learning from each other. So I thank you for your attention and thank all of you amazing women. I hope you share all your slides with me and look forward to answering any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Shahnaz. That was an amazing presentation. All your favorite ladies from Indira Gandhi to Mother Teresa to Sheryl, Ruth Bader, I don't know, Michelle Obama, Oprah, I cannot just keep counting. Those are all ladies, my favorites too. And I'm sure everybody can try to become like that one day. We can try now onwards, maybe. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all the wonderful panelists for being part of this event and all who helped the whole Women's Forum team behind the scenes. I believe that when women come together, we can with the collective intention, magic happens. So let's keep supporting and uplifting each other and shine on, not just today, but every day. Finally, I would want to call Dr. Bhavani Srinivasan, co-chair of our women's team and also chair of BOT, to say a few words. And then we have a couple of announcements by Dr. Anjana Samadhar and followed by our president, Dr. Sudhakar Janalagada. Thank you. Hi, Bhavani.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Udaya. Yeah, and I wanted to, I thought all the women speakers were absolutely outstanding. Ami, your take-home points were absolutely superb. Dr. Sheila Shah, the most beautiful woman is a self-assured and confident woman. And you brought that home to us. And Dr. Padmanabhan, thank you for clarifying and delineating the resilient woman. So all of us, like the 3 faces of Eve, actually it's the 4 faces of Eve which have been presented here to us by these 4 speakers. And of course, Dr. Shahnaz, those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. Therefore, we should always remember what history and all these women teach us, And I also wanted to say the colors of International Women's Day, the colors of International Women's Day are purple, green, and white, And purple represents justice and dignity. One moment. Purple represents justice and dignity. Green symbolizes hope. And white symbolizes purity. And I see a couple of people are in green today, so it's very apropos. So on that note, let me wish you women here on this panel, all my friends, all my colleagues, a very happy, healthy, safe, and prosperous International Women's Day today. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavani. Dr. Anjana, would you like to say a few things? Hello, Anjana.
Thank you, everyone, including the speakers and Dr. Koti Mukula, Dr. Sajni Shah, and everyone for coming. Dr. Kinjal Solanki, Dr. Gurusu for coming and participating in this event. Just wanted to invite all of you for the Women's Mini Convention at Tampa between March 19th to 21st. We are expecting it to be a great event. And I would like to invite all of you, and I would hand it over to Dr. Janalagada to make a couple of announcements.
Thank you very much. What eloquent speeches today. I tell you what, this is what you call women's power, okay? Without women's power, the world is over. And thank you again for joining today and participating in today's event. And I would like to invite you all to the Global Healthcare Summit, Visakhapatnam, in May 1st and 2nd this year, in a couple of months. And we're going to have a very exciting event going to take place. And on 3rd, we are all the members are going to go with Araku Valley. It's a beautiful valley with natural Burra caves. And please join us and make this event is very memorable. Thank you again joining today. You all have a good night.
Good night. Good night, everybody.